What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Mike Dokter. I am the high school girls basketball coach for the house team out of Muskegon, Michigan. We play under the MBA umbrella, Michigan Basketball Academy, and we are reading Chop Wood, Carry Water. This is a book that the team read last year, and I'm making these videos for the new players to the team this year. But if you're just watching this because these are public, welcome. Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate you. Go ahead and if you like these videos, click like, click share, click on the playlist below. We'll go through the whole book together. Today we're going to be reading chapters 27 and 28 with some thoughts of, again, Chop Wood, Carry Water by Joshua Medcalf before our team reads the sequel to that book, Pound the Stone, this year in our practices. So chapter 27, The Fight. One day during lunch, the apprentices gathered in the dining hall as usual. But in the midst of some good-natured joking, Katsuo crossed the line, talking about how John had choked in the last tournament. John didn't hear a single word after that. His blood boiled, and before he knew it, he tackled Katsuo. They rolled wildly across the floor, food flying, trying to each land a punch. As the other apprentices pulled them apart, John made one last lunge. But Katsuo dodged, sending John slipping past him on the slick floor and then crashing into the ground. As he fell, he heard a hollow pop, followed by a wrenching bolt of pain as he felt his arm shatter into two pieces. Later that day, the doctors had finished setting his arm and sent him back from the hospital. John was sitting in his room when Akira arrived. John looked away, unable to meet his sensei's eyes. He felt ashamed and he wasn't ready for a lecture. But instead of a lecture, the old man seemed to be filled with joy. "John, it's great to see you. I know you wish the circumstances were different, and believe me, I know how you feel. I was a real hothead growing up as well, and I got in plenty of trouble. It took me a long time to learn how to live by principles instead of feelings. Many years ago, I even found myself in a place just like the one you're in right now. I'd been knocked out, my face was split open, and my nose was broken by a man much larger than myself. But I chose to believe that it was in my best interest and an opportunity to learn and grow. That mindset helped propel me towards becoming the man I am today." "Wait a second," said John. "You can't just say something like that and skip over it." Akira just smiled. "That's a story for another day. Right now we have more important things to think about. Did you know that the Chinese symbol for danger and opportunity are the same?" John shook his head as Akira continued. "At every crossroads, there are at least two choices: to view your circumstance as a calamity or to view it as an incredible opportunity. The most important question to think about right now is this: 5 years from today, will you be ashamed of how you shrank from what you saw as a calamity, or will you look back and be proud of how you maximized your incredible opportunity?" John nodded but couldn't stop the tears as the tears began to sting his eyes. "I can't believe that I was this stupid. Why did I have to break my arm? I'm trying to believe this is in my best interest and an opportunity to learn and grow, but it seems impossible to believe that right now." His sensei pulled up a chair beside his bed. "I figured you would feel that way, so I thought maybe we could talk about chasing lions on snowy days." John couldn't help chuckling. "I don't know how this is going to help, but let's hear it." Akira continued. "The incredible thing about opportunities is that they often come to us disguised as 500-pound lions. Right now, you are face to face with one of the many lions you will encounter in life. The question is, what will you believe about it? And what will you do about it?" There is an ancient story about a warrior named Benaiah. And while he doesn't get very many lines in the book, they tell us a lot about his life. In the first line, it says that one day he chased a lion into a pit on a snowy day and killed it. The next line says that Benaiah went on to become King David's chief bodyguard. When most people come face to face with their opportunities, lions, they run as fast as they can in the opposite direction. But when you decide to embrace the lion and chase it, you have the opportunity to build your resume, your character, and your skills. John, no one is interested in watching a story where the hero doesn't have to overcome a lot of adversity. That would be incredibly boring. We were born to chase these lions and to climb the mountains in our life. Do I condone you for getting into a fight? Not at all. But we all have different challenges in life, and now you have found yourself here. I would never want someone to come face to face with a lion on a snowy day, but I can tell you one thing. If I were the king, I would want the guy who had the courage to chase the lion and kill it as my bodyguard. Right now, you have an opportunity to develop mental, emotional, and relational skills in a way that you would never have had you not suffered this physical setback. But what you do with that opportunity is up to you. Will you squander it wasting time, or will you harness the opportunity and allow it to build yourself into more of the person you want to become? John grinned, sounding more like his old self. I want to harness the opportunity. Akira nodded. Good. He walked to the cabinet and pulled out a pen and notepad. I want you to make a can-do list of all the things you can do to get better while you're not able to train. I would start with reading at least one of the 15 books off this reading challenge. John nodded and then started thinking about all the things he could do to get better when he was injured. He started writing. Visualization exercises. Listen to guided imagery. Do highlight films and study my best shots. Film study of other great samurai archers. Encourage my teammates. Write articles about the lessons I've learned during my training time and the lessons I'm learning through the injury. Strength training in areas not affected by my injury. Hand-eye coordination. Exercises with my other arm. Study wisdom. As he finished, Akira looked over the list and then nodded in approval. Those are a few great examples, and I'm certain you can think of many more over the next couple of days. Now I have to get back to the range, but it sounds like you have a lot on your can-do list to start getting to work on. I sure do, said John, and thank you for helping me see this as an opportunity. I'll do my best to take it on, just like a lion on a snowy day. So, some of you may or may not be familiar with the story of King David. King David was the king of the Israelites way, way, way back when. You probably are familiar with the story of David and Goliath. When David was just a boy, he killed a giant with a slingshot and a stone when nobody else would take him on. Benaiah was that guy's bodyguard. So if you think David was pretty cool, Benaiah is another level of crazy. All right. So what I want you to get from this is you're all going to have setbacks. We talked about failure in the last chapter, in the last video. We've actually been talking about it through the entire book if you've been paying attention. And when you can figure out how to harness the frustration you have and see it as an opportunity to learn and grow when you're faced with these lions, when you're faced with that injury, when you're faced with not performing at your best, or when you have an impossible goal in front of you and you figure out how you can go through that goal and see it as an opportunity to learn and grow, nothing becomes scary. Everything is in our best interest. Everything that happens to us is in our best interest. Everything is an opportunity to learn and grow. I applied for a job recently. I don't think I'm going to get it. If I do, great. If I don't, great. I think I'm qualified. I think I'm the most qualified of the people that applied. I don't know who they are, but I like to think that about myself. But I might not get it. If I don't get it, will it suck? Yeah, a little bit. But it's an opportunity to learn and grow and understand how I can get better. You're going to face those challenges too. It might be in a relationship. It might be at school. It might be on the court. You might have an injury. I know a lot of players who have gotten injured. Basketball is a physical sport. Sometimes things happen. When that happens, it seems like a lion. It seems like an uncontrollable, it is uncontrollable, but it seems like an unachievable situation that you need to overcome. But you need to focus on what you can control and what you can do, which are your actions and your attitude. So love that chapter. Another good one. Here's a follow-up to it, chapter 28, principles instead of feelings. A few days later, John returned from his check-in at the hospital with his arm in a cast and a recommendation from the doctors of 4 weeks of no strenuous physical activity, followed by 8 weeks of only light physical activity. As he grabbed his lunch in the dining hall, Akira came up alongside him with a to-go carton. How about we go for a walk? John was happy to comply, and they took their lunch to a massive tree on the property. Under its shade, they ate in silence for a while. Then Akira asked, John, do you remember me talking to you a few days ago about how it took me a long time to learn how to live by principles and not feelings? John nodded quietly, acknowledging that he had. Akira went on. Like I said, just like you, I had quite a hot head when I was younger. I made many stupid and careless choices that caused others and myself much pain. Thankfully, I had a mentor in my life who brought me out of that and taught me about living by principles. When I was about your age, he had seen me react to several different situations. Finally, he asked me a very simple question. How is your strategy of living by your feelings working out for you? I got very quiet and had to admit that it wasn't working very well at all. He then shared a quote from a man named Eric Thomas. At the end of your feelings is nothing, but at the end of every principle is a promise. Living by feelings is never going to work out well for anyone because feelings change. Sometimes we simply wake up and we feel differently. Sometimes someone does something that makes us feel differently. Living by our feelings is like riding an emotional roller coaster. When you make the choice to live by a certain set of principles, it will not only protect you from your feelings, it will also allow you to step into your greatest potential. Many days you are going to feel like working out is hard and honing your craft. Many days you aren't going to feel like working out and honing your craft. Many days you aren't going to feel like treating people really well. Many days you aren't going to feel like being unconditionally grateful. Many days you aren't going to feel like giving it your very best. But principle says you are going to reap what you sow. The principle says that diligent workers are going to serve kings instead of ordinary men. The principle says to turn the other cheek. The principle says to seek wise counsel. The principle says to speak life and not death. At the end of principles, there is life, freedom, hope, joy, and peace. The most you can expect from feelings is happiness. But like every other feeling, happiness doesn't last. That's exactly why trillion-dollar industries try to keep you chasing it, because it's perpetually unavailable. If you want to stay on the happiness train, you must come back to make more purchases, trying to get another hit of that feeling. A new pair of sneakers, a new car, a new iPhone. It is a never satisfied pit of desire, and if you spend your whole life chasing that fleeting, temporary feeling of happiness, you will miss out on what you really want, which is fulfillment. Where happiness is easy and me-focused, fulfillment is hard and others-focused. Where happiness comes from a life lived in endless pursuit of feelings, fulfillment comes from living a life in faithful commitment to principles. It is healthy to acknowledge our feelings, but when it comes to action, we are much better served to act on our principles rather than our feelings. John, what I want you to do is seek out principles from ancient wisdom that have been tried and tested through the ages. When you switch from living by your feelings to living by principles, you will start to see very differently the fruit of your life. It is not easy, and sometimes you will slip up and make choices based off of your feelings. Pick yourself up and get back on the road of living by your principles rather than your feelings. It's not easy, but he nodded to John's cast. It's a lot better than living by your feelings. John laughed in agreement as Akira went on. Now, can you think of 4 principles you have learned so far in your time here that you want to live by? John started to think deeply, and he finally replied. 1, you are building your own house. 2, to play present, you must train to live present. 3, you must surrender the outcome and commit to the process, or you will become your own worst enemy. And 4, no matter what my circumstances are, always chop wood and carry water. Akira smiled. My ninja, those are excellent. I'm happy to see the time together is paying off. Now, each day when you wake up, before you enter the shooting range or before you compete, write out 4 to 6 principles that you want to stick to no matter what. Stick them in your pocket, and if you feel yourself wanting to live by your feelings, either touch that pocket or pull them out and say them out loud a few times to yourself. Got it? Yes, Akira-sensei, said John. He was excited to use his new tool. Principles over feelings. Feelings will get you in trouble. I promise you. How you feel, it goes back to what you tell yourself and how you speak to yourself. How you feel about yourself is important. Do you have a positive attitude? Do you have an attitude that allows you to see life as an opportunity to learn and grow? A lot of us have those attitudes, but oftentimes we can still get caught up in the feelings that come from the things that we can't control. It's important to understand that that's exactly what it is, things that we can't control. We can't control a lot of the externals in our life. We can't control how a ref calls a game. We can't control if somebody else is being too aggressive and getting away with it on the court under the basket. We can't control what the coaches think about us. We can't control a lot of things as it relates to if we make a team or if we don't make a team. There's a lot of politics involved sometimes. But what I want you to understand is that there are things you can control. And you need to understand that those are the principles that you choose to live by. You can choose to live by those principles. And when you choose to live by those principles that are tested throughout the ages, and there's certain places you can find those, and I'm happy to talk about those later on. Those are things that are going to serve you much, much better and set you up for a much better chance of success. So that was chapters 27 and 28. We are getting close. There's only 33 chapters in the book, I think. Yeah, 33 chapters in the book. So chapters 29 and 30 coming next time. And yeah, we're getting there. Almost done. Thank you so much for coming on this journey. I hope you're enjoying it. We'll see you next time. Bye now.